evaluations, and we'll give Edward 1 minute for feedback, and then we'll give the audience 2 minutes for audience feedback.
Great. Edward,
Steve.
our business guy, you didn't dance. I thought that was an opportunity we had there. This is kind of the theme of the meeting here. My son has given this talk or something like it in for real settings, where you're pitching an idea to people with money, and you want them to pick up at least people who potentially they could use your product, that kind of thing. You made us all people with money who were in a position to make investments. I think we probably didn't need the illustrations at the beginning of the golden egg, the spider, and the queen bee. And I'm just launching right into things that I think could be improved maybe. The time clearly went long. Your passion and comfort level with this topic were blazingly clear. I think those illustrations at the beginning were actually a little bit confusing. I guess you could see where you were asking these people to make some choices about their investments. I'll tell you, one of my thoughts was, if I have that much money, I'll take all three, and I'll just decide how they will work out. That was a thought that I was having there. If your audience is people with lots of money, they probably know how to manage it. So they're more interested in hearing specifically about your product. So I think you could have moved it to that more quickly, and then you would have had the time to develop it more completely. I've got to say that your passion and your ability to pull in people to share that passion was amazing to me. You got everybody engaged, and I thought, how is he going to manage the time on this? Because people are giving you ideas or asking questions. How does this work? So they're very engaged in your product, and I'm imagining that we'll go away from this meeting. Some people will be still thinking about that because it's such a real need and a real problem to be solved. And it sounds like your product does that in an interesting way. Yeah. So my comments mainly are that you were very comfortable with that aspect of it. Probably could have been tailored more to an audience where you acknowledge upfront their sophistication. And I think those illustrations probably did serve to bring people in and get them thinking, but you ended up using a lot of time. So good luck.
Hey,
Yeah, I think you have quite a product.
Edward, great speech. I really liked it and liked the idea. Your speech was well organized and well researched. You're very tenacious in convincing your audience with your new ideas. You really engaged the audience by asking them questions. Your idea, kind of a brand new idea, so you wanted as much input as you want. As you could get from the audience in your following your goal in persuading them and answer the question. Also, in the meantime, you get more input. However, despite this great idea of asking them question and wait for their input, and it could have been done better if you just get the new idea and welcome them for their feedback and asking them questions and input after the speech, or communicating through the emails, or your idea is great, however, it's new. The new inventing such an awesome idea. Of course, you need that input to make you successful, and communicating by other way other than during the meeting, giving the fact that you locked yourself into change as well. So it's a great thing, however, this is the side of the effect of it. So in order to, this is just some suggestion how to make it better. Just like I said, there's so many ways to do that. Not having engaged in the same, or make a different session, like make it in another session. I would like the purpose of this session just to have a chatting with you. However, it is was well researched. You will engage the audience. You were highly compelling. The material was great that you spent. You engaged us with using our cell phone, and you engaged us with your logos, which was very attractive. So, well done. Great topics, and thank you for presenting that great idea for us.
Edward, I am going to try not to repeat what everyone has said, but you did a great job at the beginning. You started out slowly. You started by asking the audience questions. You allowed them to do a little feedback. So I think you started out a little slowly, and then your passion kind of ramped up. And I think that helped the audience ramp up and get excited too. So I think that was really effective. You had great pauses. You would say something, and since it's a lot of new material and new ideas, you would say something, you'd ask a question, you'd pause for the audience to absorb it, and then continue on. And I think that was very effective. Well, two things, two comments I have related to the metaphors at the beginning. So I think what you wanted to do was to ask us some rhetorical questions so that we would obviously want to invest in the Golden Queen Bee. To be more effective with that, I would maybe state the benefits of each, which you didn't do. You just stated what the animals were and said which ones would you invest in. So instead of having your audience guess, maybe provide them some benefits, the best benefits being the queen bee, so they would naturally lean towards that. And then launch into the metaphor for business and hiring, and maybe bring out a stack of paper then and say, this is a problem, but the queen bee solution would be to X, Y, Z, and then say, obviously we'd all want to choose the queen bee. So your audience is now, not only were they thinking about it at the beginning, but you're providing them the answers. I think that would have been an effective way to use that metaphor and also bring it back throughout the speech and maybe at the end too. Another thing too, obviously the time and the questions. A couple of things, obviously with the new information, people have questions. So I would have maybe planted a couple of questions in your audience. So you would have known the question, you would have been able to answer it. The more questions that came in, the more you had to say. And you know everything, so you wanted to answer all of the questions. And that, I found that detracted from the message at the end, because the more questions there were, the more I started thinking, well, how many questions are there? And how many questions are there? And do I have questions? And you know, it kind of made me start to doubt. So I'd recommend say, I'm going to take 2 questions, have the questions that you know are coming, and say, if you have more questions, please reach out to me at these. I think that you came up here, like Steve said, you had a lot of passion. You had a very earnest face. You were very comfortable. You gestured. You smiled. So I think your presentation skills are really, really great. But I think there's a couple of ways to make it more effective. And I think you have those tools. You just need to harness them. So thank you for bringing this speech to us today.
Awesome. Thank you, Stephen, Carolyn, Noet. And I got only 1 minute, right, Leo?
Right.
I'm going to take all your feedback. Yes, one idea I can say to myself, shift all those, setting the stage, including the queen bee, to our postmaster. That way I don't have to go through that exercise, including pulling that $6 million. She can do it for me, so it doesn't get counted against me, right? And then obviously I have to do time management, fewer questions, and plan some. Right? So I think that those are all great ideas. I'm going to use it, and I will be presenting this in front of your investors. So appreciate your all feedback. I appreciate. And like Marwan said, this is not the end of the show, right? I would like to hear your feedback in the written form or by emails.
Sure.
Back to that.
Sure, do we have any audience feedback now? Leo?
Sure. Thanks for the speech, Edward. As an investor, and I want to know in solving the people puzzle, put it into dollarize it for me. So instead of 94, whatever, I don't care what that is. How does that relate to dollars? Is that a half an hour each one? Is it 15 minutes? Is that 50,000 for the year? So, so then you see, for each HR area, it's going to be saving 100,000. And then as an investor, I can translate into how I might see that as an investment opportunity.
Anything else, Carol?
Yeah, I had actually a whole list of stuff, so I'll hit you up after the meeting. But basically, I would think in a presentation we would cover what's the benefit for applicants, what are the benefits for users, does it get them better recruits, people who are better fit, does it give a faster decision, does it mean they spend less time, how robust is the graphic interface, how accurate is the data? So we'll talk about this after the meeting.
Go.
Edward, and thank you for giving this. You have limited time, so if I were you, I was going to do like this. I'm going to give an example that this will be the structure and MPC product. This way, all audience will focus on you. That he's going to give a new product, and we have chance to ask, and he's going to give a presentation. At least we will have our own outline. Then you start preaching that, okay, I have money like this, and you are the investor. Would you like to invest? If you do like that, I think it will be very shorter, and I'm totally aligned with that. I will take 2 questions at a time. This way you will give respect to all the audience. This way, I know this is like 30 to 45-minute presentation in our previous or which I think Ravi did, those kind of things. But yeah, just practice. Yeah. You have a lot of information which you only know. Think about opposite side, that audience, how audience will grab those information in 12 minutes. If you go other side of the table, you will exactly figure out how to do this presentation.
All right, so I think we're out of time. I encourage everyone, since this is Edward's real product, to write your feedback, send him emails, engage him with questions and ideas so he can be our successful fellow Toastmaster. All right, I will turn it back to our general evaluator.